Hello there, gang, and welcome to another episode of Displaying Model Behaviour. And I'm going to cut the intro because we've got some news to talk about. This is Spider-Man's 60th anniversary, which makes me feel very old. But to celebrate that, Hasbro are going to be doing a whole range of figures. They're going to be released throughout the year. And we have the news, rumours, and potential leaks of what this first wave of them, I suppose, is going to be. Now, this came from a source, a Reddit user, I think, but either way, I don't know who it is, but everyone commenting was like, yeah, this dude, like, he's legit with what he reveals, like, he's on the money, so definitely worth putting some decent, credit into these. So no more rambling, let's just talk about what's on the list. So first of all, we have the Null 2-pack, and we knew that Null was coming out. We've seen the renders, which look awesome, but we didn't know who was going to be in the 2-pack with him, and it is listed as Null and Venom. And that's cool, because who doesn't love Venom? But what type of Venom? Because Venom has had a whole bunch of different looks, even recently. There's so many different things that they could do with Venom. I would be very happy with just another decent 616 Eddie Brock. Take that exclusive one that they did, take the different coloured paint off, give him a better looking head, boom, that would be a great Venom. But that is just speculation. Either way, a Null and Venom 2-pack, that's going to be really good, hopefully. Then we're going to go back to the Spider-Verse with Penny and SPDR. So this is probably going to be, again, I just say probably, it's like, it's obvious, but at the same time, I don't want to say, well, this is obviously, because, well, it's not guaranteed. But still, come on, it's going to be the Spider-Verse, Sony-verse animated movie, because we got in the Stiltman wave. We got Peter, we got Gwen, we got Miles, we got Prowler. So it just makes sense to fill out that team. We got Spider-Ham as well, can't forget him. So Penny with SPDR is undoubtedly going to be a deluxe big box release. I'm thinking kind of like Ironmonger, most likely, or like the sort of Hydra Stomper, Surtur kind of big ticket item. Hopefully they're going to put a lot of tooling into it, because the SPDR design is really cool and funky, and obviously that Penny version is very anime sort of style, so it's all going to be unique stuff to these figures, I would imagine. So I probably wouldn't want to buy it because I'm not collecting that Spider-Verse sort of subset, but I think for everyone who wants to complete that team, yeah, that's going to be awesome. And even though he's not listed, that kind of leaves the door wide open for Spider-Man Noir as well. So yeah, that's kind of exciting. Then we have an MCU Homecoming Peter and Ned 2-pack, and this has been heavily sort of rumoured and hinted at before. On the last Hasbro Pulse, they showed a little backpack, which I think people decided was Peter's high school backpack or Ned's, one of the two. Either way, that's going to be fun for MCU people to finally have Ned. It's always nice when they do civilian characters, because they're not very toyetic necessarily, but they do round out. I mean, Ned is a pretty integral part of the whole MCU Spider-Man story. So now you can have Peter, MJ, and Ned, and they can go out and Scooby-Doo that crap. Then we have another 2-pack, and an unusual one, of SpiderMan and Spinneret. Now, if you're not familiar, this is from a reality where the marriage was never erased. So Peter and Mary Jane remained married, and they had a little kid as well, and the kid has spider powers. And in that story, there's been a few limited series based on this, and Mary Jane gets spider powers as well. I think, like, she gets a symbiote at some point, and then she's able to acquire powers. I've read it, my memory's hazy. Either way, she had a cool costume, and it was really fun to have the Parkers as this spider crime-fighting family. It was a really fun story. But Spinneret, really cool design. If they do her on like the nice new female buck, that's gonna look great. And also, Peter pretty much just looks like regular Spider-Man, so anyone looking to get a regular kind of Spider-Man figure, you might be in luck there. I'm just hoping they give him like a new, like, different unmasked head and something to make you want to have another Spider-Man if you already own the retro one, for example. There are actually a couple of other entries that I forgot to mention, which is why I'm just doing this with audio, but we also had on the list the Future Foundation Spider-Man, which was one that a lot of people have been clamoring for. I know he's high on people's lists. So if you want a Future Foundation Spider-Man, it looks like this will be the year for him. Then also, we have a 2-pack, another 2-pack. Apparently this will be an Amazon exclusive of Spider-Woman and Silk. And that kind of makes sense because these two characters have teamed up quite a lot in the past. It's not unusual to see them together, so I can justify that 2-pack pairing. Then also, we're going to get the 1970s show Spider-Man. So we had the the TV movies of Spider-Man made in the 70s with Nicholas Hammond. That will be quite a fun one. Apparently, that's going to be a fan channel exclusive. And then finally, a big one that we've all been waiting for, a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, which I hate to tell you, but is apparently going to be a Target exclusive. So there you go. But yeah, those are the extra ones that I didn't include on the original list. Now we've got one that we all know about because it has been shown, is the comic Iron Spider. So happy to be getting this. I've got the Yamaguchi one, but still, I would really like a basic, just well-made Marvel Legend Iron Spider. The renders, the pictures, they look really cool. So if it can live up to our sort of hopes for it, that's going to be great. So that's not any kind of reveal. We know about it, but still, it's fun to get excited. Now this is a cool, fun, unusual one. We're going to get Japanese Spider-Man. And that's kind of awesome that they really are just celebrating the whole 60 years of Spider-Man. And Japanese Spider-Man has kind of got like a little cult following of his own. Completely, the only relation he actually has to our Spider-Man is that he wears the same costume and is called Spider-Man. That's pretty much it. He has a giant mech called Leopardon that he calls on like a Power Ranger. I think he's from is he an alien? Or he was, it's all it's bizarre. It's classic, wonderful, brilliant, bonkers, bizarre Japanese sort of storytelling. But essentially, the character just looks like Spider-Man, but with smaller eyes, and he's got like a little wrist gauntlet type thingamajig. I've never watched any of the episodes. It's a little too off the wall for me. But he did appear in Spider-Geddon as well. So you can put him straight into your 616 collection. So that's kind of cool. Now, one I'm really interested in is Amazing Fantasy 15 Spider-Man. This is going to be so interesting, I guess, as to how they're going to do this. Because a big thing that's always difficult to capture is the underarm webbing. How do you do it? Because the idea of that webbing is it's meant to be like elastic. But you can only really do it with material. So it always looks a little bit odd because, yeah, I really want to see how Hasbro are going to tackle this. If they just don't do it, then there wouldn't really be much to, denounce it as an Amazing Fantasy 15 Spider-Man, besides maybe some darker colors and a different sort of design, slightly different. But really, if they can recreate a great representation of the first ever image of Spider-Man, that could be really fun because there were little tweaks that character had. Occasionally he would even be drawn with a little dots on his lenses that weren't his eyes, but they kind of denote where he was looking. It was an interesting little sort of touch. I'm really interested. Again, I keep saying interested, but I'm rambling now. Either way, I am interested to see what they do with this. Now, going back to the retro wave, we have the animated Spider-Man. And this is one that I'm not too keen on because even though I adored the animated Spider-Man show from 1994, I wasn't actually a huge fan of how they drew Spider-Man. I felt he was a little bit too big and bulky, and I always thought the shape of his head with the mask on, his eye had a sort of a weird curve to it. I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a fan of that design. The fact I still adored the show goes to show how wonderful it was. But still, if they're going to put this in the retro wave, again, for a lot of folks who want a Spider-Man, boom, there you go, another comic book Spider-Man. So y'all might want to sell your retros while they're still expensive, okay? Because I think if you want a 616 Spider-Man by the end of this year, you're going to be spoilt for choice. And finally, for the 60th anniversary reveals so far, or not reveals, leaks, rumors, whatever, we have the Lizard. And this is kind of surprising because they were heavily hinting the Rhino. That's not to say we won't get him as well. I think we probably will. But the one listed on this information is Lizard. And I'm excited to see what they do with this. They could go full animated style. I hope not, because I just want to do 616. And the 616 Build-A-Figure Lizard, a lot of people don't like it. They don't like the joints in the legs. They don't like the dinosaur-looking head. So it can be improved upon. That I think would make a lot of people happier. So either way, that's one I'm going to be watching with great interest. I don't particularly want to upgrade or change my Build-A-Figure Lizard because I really, really love him. But at the same time, if they do an exceptional job, I might just think, you know what? I think this has to be done. And folks, that does it for the leaked, rumored reveals of the upcoming Spider-Man 60th anniversary figures. And again, I think this is just the start. There are going to be a lot more coming out throughout 2021. 1. What? No, 2. Wow, my brain still hasn't ticked over. But anyway, guys, what do you think of those reveals, and what do you want to see them do for Spider-Man? There's so many different characters and versions and costumes that encompass the last 60 years. It's an exciting time to think what they could cook up. Me personally, I really want to see Flipside 2099. The odds of that, pretty far out there, but you never know. Come on, Hasbro, answer my prayers. I know you watch this. So guys, thanks very much for watching yourselves. If you like what you see here and you want to see more, then join the 6-1 Clicks by clicking the like, share, and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to smash that notification bell. Also, if you want to grab yourself a badass Model Behaviour t-shirt, you can do by going over to teespring.com. Check the link in the description below. And finally, if you want to throw a few shekels my way, you can do by going over to patreon.com/displaying model behavior. That's very much appreciated. So guys, thank you so much for watching again, and until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
Big time